What's in a name? Sometimes a band's name is a pretty open book as to what you're getting yourself in for. No one ever picked up an Anthrax record, a Megadeth album, or a Slayer CD expecting sunshine and lollipops after all. Which brings us to the incredibly long-winded band name of The World is a Beautiful Place and I Am No Longer Afraid to Die, or just Beautiful Place from here on out. And you would expect a certain degree of, wistful, contemplative soundscapes with hope and maybe even a little bit of joy being the driving force. Well, this might have once been the case, but on this, the band's fifth full-length album, the world is a dark and terrible place, and I am afraid for the future of the human race. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals, my name is Ian, this is Rhyme Signatures, and we are once again opening the lid on the best new releases in prog rock and metal. Okay, so I got my introduction to Beautiful Place with the gentle, progressive, almost soothing melancholy of 2021's Illusory Walls. And for all of its stark anti-capitalist lyrical content, there was always a shadow of hope behind the music. I fell head over heels for it, and it remains one of my favourite albums of the 2020s so far. But I'd always wondered where exactly Beautiful Place could or would go from this high point in their career. I've been doing a bit of a deep dive into their past over the past couple of years, and from their debut of Whenever If Ever, sophomore Harmlessness, and third album Always Foreign, there was a much greater focus on their indie, emo, and post-rock sounds. Now, these were definitely excellent albums, but they weren't quite as appealing to me as the wide, sweeping, and frankly magnificent behemoth that was Illusory Walls. Which brings us up to date with Dreams of Being Dust. Now, it's been 4 years since the previous album, and we've entered into a post-pandemic world. We're into the second term of a geriatric tangerine's vanity project of a presidency, wars are seemingly never-ending across multiple parts of the globe, and the band's namesake has never felt less appropriate than it does right now. So, with the world in turmoil, what could they do? Dreams of Being Dust is the reactive statement to a world that just didn't fucking listen to the warning signs. It's mad as hell and isn't going to stand for any of society's increasingly absurd and abusive bullshit. It's raw, it's mean, it's angry, and I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, okay, so this isn't an album that I can easily recommend to you if you were expecting or hoping for Illusory Walls Part 2. Gone are the long, drawn-out soundscapes, the ethereal melancholy, and lyrics that, while cynical, were ultimately tinged with hope. We are so far beyond that point right now. Now, the world has changed a lot since 2021, and Beautiful Place have changed with it, to reflect the, let's not kid ourselves here, fucking awful state of the world right now. We're talking screams, growls, breakdowns, chugging riffs, and hardcore punk vibes right from the opening gambit of Dimmed Sun. It is clear that Beautiful Place have had enough, and the album they've written has reflected that in a way that completely took me by surprise. Now, I'd held off from listening to any of the 4 pre-release singles, so I had to reset my expectations of this album within about 3 seconds of the opening number. It's very clear very quickly that Beautiful Place are pissed off. And honestly, who can really blame them? Art and music has long had a place of expressing dissent and dissatisfaction with the established order and political balance of the world. And Dreams of Being Dust is perhaps one of the most powerful and outspoken political commentaries I've heard in the modern musical landscape in quite some time. We're dealing here with lyrical stabs like "We watch them etch the names of God in silicon," "Pistols or petitions, which pill did you take?" "What coward king teaches this kind of lesson, widespread hunger in the poorest of children," and cherry-picking corpses to explain what went wrong. It becomes clear we're not dealing with the Hail Satan content of heavy metal, the esoteric whimsy of progressive rock, or the hedonism of modern pop music. Beautiful Place are firmly taking a stand on this album, and their voices ring loud and clear for all to hear. And what voices we're talking about here. I'll be honest, I wasn't the biggest lover of the band's vocals in the early days, but that's really more down to personal preference of style rather than any critique over technique. But the sheer breadth of power and variety on Dreams of Being Dust is something to behold. The guest spots for the more aggressive vocals are quite frankly superb. David Bellows' leads couldn't be more melodic if they tried, and when Katie Dvorak comes in on backup, man, the chills I get from this album vocally are absolutely spine-tingling. Illusory Walls was always a favourite album of mine vocally, but in stepping up their aggression and adrenaline, Dreams of Being Dust is one of the best performing albums of the year from a purely microphone standpoint. But let's not forget the rest of the band. As I've alluded to earlier, this is not the spacier, more contemplative post-rock infused hardcore of their prior album. Instead, we're getting crunchy guitars, savage breakdowns, and rolling drum fills that sound more like they're taken from mathcore albums from the Callous Cowboys or Dillinger Escape Plan. The opening two-hit combo of Dimmed Sun and Si Sufra Pero Si Goza is especially indicative of this, showcasing some of the more aggressive stylistic shifting on the album. But this isn't to say that this is pure aggression from start to finish. Cuts like No Pilgrim give off a certain 90s grunge vibe, channeling The Cure in parts. Oubliette is a down-tempo introspective piece and one of my favourites off the album, with crooning vocals and a kind of heartfelt misery to the proceedings. It is, though, from the 7th track of Dissolving up until the final song, For Those Who Will Outlive Us, that the album really picked up its pace, giving us an incredibly powerful second half, both musically and lyrically. Dissolving starts with a riff that wouldn't feel entirely out of place on a Devin Townsend record. Reject All and Submit has some of the gnarliest and most brutal guitars across the whole album, and the final few minutes of the closing track bring back the goosebumps that I got from the band's previous ending track of Fewer Afraid. Now, loath as I am to keep comparing the songs on this to other artists, the last 3 minutes of For Those Who Will Outlive Us goes full Porcupine Tree, with some absolutely haunting melodies, marching rhythms, and some lyrics that will give you pause to stop and really think about just what the hell is going on in our world right now. I think the most important thing that Beautiful World have done on this album is to not try making another Illusory Walls. That album was a stylistic shift at the time it came out, and it put the band on the map for me. Dreams of Being Dust is another stark, angular contrast in their work and another major milestone in their output as artists and spokespeople for the marginalized and downtrodden of the world. This is music of anger, music of exhaustion and frustration, the soundtrack to the working class who've had enough of billionaires and oligarchs playing God with people's lives. It is all too easy at the moment to get complacent, to let the weight of everything get us down. But through music we can channel ourselves, our feelings and our truest emotions. Beautiful Place may be singing their own words and playing their own tunes, but how well this resonated with me on a personal and political spectrum and ideology cannot be understated. Music can explore many things and make us feel every kind of emotion. Dreams of Being Dust is a powerful statement against a world that feels the need to keep upping the ante of shit against the people living in it. Get mad, feel the band's frustration, and maybe together we can actually do something to fix this messed up world. In the words of the band themselves, the world is a beautiful place, but we have to make it that way. Now, perhaps in another 4 years' time, they will return with a piece more hopeful than this one. But for now, this bitter, angry pill is precisely the one we all need to be swallowing right now. So, what else can I possibly say about The World is a Beautiful Place, and I am no longer afraid to die's Dreams of Being Dust? When this got announced earlier this year, I was immediately very excited to hear it, and I can confidently say that although I had no idea what to expect from this album, it has exceeded all of my expectations for it. In my heart of hearts, I won't lie, part of me did want a natural succession to Illusory Walls. I wanted the huge 20-minute post-rock infused soundscapes again that so lovingly caressed my brain 4 years ago. Of course I did, you know. I've spent most of my adult life hideously depressed, so to get that kind of balm for the soul feels like a sparsely visited event. But what we got was the precise opposite, and it's only after hearing this one a few times now that I realised that I didn't need a follow-up to that album. I needed its antithesis. The world sucks, okay? It's fucking awful right now. And we need more people to take a stand and have the guts to just say it. Beautiful Place have planted their boots and stuck up a giant middle finger against society. They are mad as hell and not going to take it anymore, and frankly, neither should we. Art like this is important to support, so be like me and treat yourself to the vinyl, to a CD, you know, something you can hold and can't be taken from you. I loved this album, I needed this album, and I'd wager a bunch of you will do likewise. Now please, let us all just work on making this world the beautiful place that it truly deserves to be. This is all, of course, guys, just my opinion, so if you loved this one, if you hated this one, please talk to me about your experiences with the album in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please drop me a thumbs up to help support the metrics, etc, blah de blah. Please do tell your friends all about little old me, and maybe even consider subscribing to the channel if you've been enjoying the content so far. But until next time, guys, as always, keep your rhyme signatures pretty odd.